Welcome back to the Pioneers Sideline, episode 128 coming at you, and we're getting down to the best part of the season here. All the highlights that you'll see in next coming months. Basketball time, men's basketball on the scene here. Kevin Calhoun going to join me here at the desk, and Kevin, really just looking at this Pioneers club, and you look at. First thing that you see is the losses from last year to this year, and how do they make up for that?
Huge. 4 double-digit scores from this team gone, Aaron. It's going to be a big adjustment for this team. You look at these guys. You've got a guy in Chris Dowse averaging 20 points a game, 12 boards a game. Jimmy Sherwood, Joel Kashat, and then don't forget Josh Tokyo, 14 points off the bench per game. These are huge losses, and it's tough to fill. And not only do you look at just the point output from these guys, but you just have to look at the roles that they filled on this team. Chris Dowse really was, when they needed him, all of the offense.
Yep.
And Trocchio and Kashat could both play that role as well. And Sherwood on the same plane. And all of these guys really were go-to basketball players for Point Park. I don't know if they have those kind of guys in the lineup now that they can look at. Trocchio would come off the bench, hit 3 or 4 threes to really spark this team. Kashat could do the same. Sherwood with those big buckets against Damon late. And then, we saw Dowse put up 46 points over at Mount Vernon Nazarene. He could do it all.
And you did mention, do they have somebody like that? But you are getting a guy back in TJ Hetherington, injured last year, and Coach Rager said in an interview that if they would have had him, he really thought that they could have went a lot farther than they did last year. And how huge is it for them to have a guy, TJ Hetherington, back and healthy and better than ever from what we've heard?
Yeah, one of the things that really hurt Point Park against Cedarville in the playoffs was the ball control, and TJ really brings that to the table for this team. And I love having TJ back on this team. I thought they brought him back too early last year. We saw him re-injure that knee at Malone, and then he was done for the year. It really did hurt them, albeit Joel Kashat really did step in and play extremely good basketball down the stretch. But overall, I think this team is a lot better with TJ Hetherington in the lineup. Really, for me, it's just about having an entire team down there, because over the last few years, we've really seen this team in the last 4 years always have a guy down low that can score. And I know I like Dante Anglin and Devon Alexander down low, but I don't think they're big play guys like Chris Dowse was, or over the last couple of years like Hakeem Warwick was, or even going back 3 or 4 years to Tony Townsend, what he was for this team. It's been a long time since they haven't had that big guy.
You mentioned Alexander and Anglin, and also throw in Josh Polott. We're going to see some of these guys got to step into roles that they're really not meant to fill. And Coach Rager said, Menzies, Polott, Alexander, Anglin, these 4 guys are going to combine to play 2 positions, and that's really we're going to look to get some production out of positioning, not just players.
Yeah, and the good thing about that is that they're all different players, at least. You look at a guy like Devon Alexander, I think he's the most versatile of all of these guys. He's good defensively, but he also, for a big guy, he has really good moves on the inside, and he can really score. He averaged the most points out of any of these guys. Dante Anglin, way more of a defensive player. If he can stay out of foul trouble, he's really a shutdown guy on the defensive side. Josh Polott, kind of a hybrid between the two, still young, didn't see too much time last year. Same with Menzies. I look for big things out of Polott this year.
Yeah, I do too. They say Coach Rager said he's back and he's improved his jumping ability, going to be able to hit those dunks, some that he's missed last year, and also some newcomers. We saw in the graphic there, Jimmy Taylor coming in, a transfer out of CCAC, Asia Braxton, another player, and some of these guys, Braxton is someone that Coach Rager has said could be their secret weapon as the season goes on.
Yeah, this team is really guard-heavy, 6 guards, 4 forwards. You talked about the 4 forwards. Outside of TJ and Robbie, this team really is heavy on the 3 to 4 guards area, or 2 to 4. TJ and Robbie can both play the point, and the way Point Park really plays offense is they have 3 guys up top and 2 guys down low. I really like these additions. Jimmy Taylor, kind of a bigger guard, going to play more at the 3 for this team. And you mentioned Braxton as well. I look at him the same way. I think these guys really can platoon into this team and really help them and help this team get better. Again, for me, it's going to come down to the inside scoring.
And Taylor could be that shooter, 52% from the field with GCAC, 45% from beyond the arc. And then the other big thing, the other X factor, I think, this year for the Point Park men's team is this weak AMC. You lose those teams from the Ohio, Valley, everything over there, but then it's just a much weaker division that we've seen in the past couple of years.
Yeah, and we've seen it already this year in soccer and in volleyball. Point Park really can compete and win in the AMC, and I think the basketball team doesn't suffer any more than anybody else. I think they really gain a lot in the AMC this year. A team like Walsh, who, albeit they played really well against Walsh in the second game at Walsh last year. Mount Vernon Nazarene, another good basketball team. But Point Park right now, pre-ranked, I think we're going to go over 3rd in the AMC behind Damon and Roberts. They've proved that they can beat those teams. I look for big things out of Point Park this year, and it's going to be a learning curve. But getting that first half of the season out of the way, non-conference play. Although you're going to see a couple conference teams, which helps. Get that non-conference play out of the way here. Feel good about yourself going into conference play, and really learn the identity of this team without Chris Dowse.
Yeah, it's always the problem, and I think we're going to see a lot of Rager always like to see a lot of run and gun style from him as we go into the season until these guys get caught up. And Kevin, thank you very much
Absolutely.
for joining us. We're going to see you, all season long. We'll be calling the games right there on 670 AM WPPJ. You'll hear all the games, just about all of them live. That schedule should be up shortly for you. Kevin, again, thank you. We got to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll go to the women's side of the ball. Matt Desmond going to join me here. We're going to talk and preview the women's basketball season and how they will fare. Stick around.